contributions of the lawyer legislator to Virginia dates back to colonial times. The importance is no less today than it was at our founding. Hi, I'm John Huddleston, and welcome back to The Big Picture. Join us today as we meet Richmond lawyer Jennifer McClellan, who continues this proud tradition.
If you look back, some of the most dramatic changes in American history were either started by or done by lawyers, starting with, Thomas Jefferson was a 32-year-old lawyer who wrote the Declaration of Independence. James Madison was about the same age when he wrote the Constitution. The Constitution came about because he and Alexander Hamilton, who was in his 30s, decided, we need to fix the way the government is working. On down the line, and so that naturally led me to want to be a lawyer. I think it's very important to have lawyer legislators, and we don't have as many as we used to. And you can see a difference, and you can tell which legislators are the lawyers. I mean, you are writing the law, so it helps to have someone who understands, how the law works, who can understand the importance of one word over another one. And sort of the way we're trained to approach issues and solve problems helps in committee hearings, because sometimes we may see an unintended consequence that somebody else might not, and so that's been very important. It helps you figure out the right questions to ask, and then obviously when we're debating on the floor, you can tell who the trial lawyers are because they're the ones who can immediately be quick on their feet and jump up in response to an issue, whether they had come in prepared to do it or not. And I think we're a better place for that.
Jennifer, can you tell us a little bit about what it means to come to work for the citizens of Virginia in such a venerable building?
Well, it's a pretty awesome place to come and work every day and passing laws and to sit where so many historical figures sat. The building is one of the oldest capitals, might be the oldest capitol in the country, designed by Thomas Jefferson, a young lawyer at the time. And where we're standing now, the House chamber was added in 1903, and so many things have happened here, both good and bad, that sometimes just to sit here and absorb the history is pretty awesome. It's a beautiful place, and sometimes when you sit here and we start the day with the Pledge of Allegiance and you think about how much history has come through here, both good and bad, and in particular, it was in this very chamber where the whole policy of massive resistance was put into place, and to now to be an African American woman serving in this legislature, sitting where those folks sat. It shows you how far we have come, and just
in a relatively short
short time.
Yeah. So
yeah. One of the things I've seen is there are a lot of people who have problems that feel like they have no voice in the government, and being a legislator not only has allowed me to work to solve those problems, but to be their voice here. And to bring their perspectives and point of views to public policy making in a way that I probably couldn't do just as a lawyer dealing with one person at a time in the court, and that's been extraordinarily satisfying.
Jennifer, you have for years been very involved with any number of organizations, the local SPCA, the Boys and Girls Clubs of the greater Richmond areas. You have been very involved with Virginia State Bar, having recently served as the president of the Young Lawyers Conference, the hardest working group within the State Bar organization. Tell us a little bit about what led you to your community involvement as a lawyer.
Sure. I've come from a family that's very community service oriented. My parents lived through the civil rights movement. My grandfather was a lawyer, tried some cases during that time. And I knew I wanted to be involved somehow, but didn't quite figure out how until I decided to become a lawyer, because throughout our history, lawyers have been at the forefront of making change and in the social justice movement in particular, and I wanted to be a part of that and would figure out exactly my path at some point later, and it kind of chose me. One of my passions is children and education. My parents were educators, and I felt that if I could in some small way help particularly at-risk kids to have some of the resources they need, and so that naturally led me to the Boys and Girls Clubs, which provides a safe place for kids during that time period when they often will get into trouble between 3 and 6. If they had a place to go and activities that were sort of broadening their horizons, perhaps they would not get into more dangerous things. And the SPCA, I love animals. I got my dog at the SPCA, and more through my work in the legislature, working with them, it became a natural fit for me to get more involved as a board member. I had carried legislation for them in the past, and that was a natural fit. A lot of my community service work has been in sort of preserving history. I was on the board of the Black History Museum and the Oliver White Foundation board to sort of make sure that the rich culture and history of African Americans, particularly in Virginia, was known, and that was natural because I'm a big history buff. I got interested in public service and in politics, reading about history.
Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to us. We really so much appreciate the good work you've done as president of the Young Lawyers Conference, throughout your bar service, through your work within the community in the greater Richmond area, and as your service to the Commonwealth, not only representing the 71st District, but to the Commonwealth as a whole. You very much made a difference for the citizens of Virginia.
Thank you.
Virginia is for good lawyers. We hope you enjoyed today's feature on Jennifer McClellan, who truly embodies Jefferson's concept of the citizen lawyer. And in the weeks ahead, we're going to have a whole lot more to say on the concept of the citizen lawyer. In the meantime, on our next episode of The Big Picture, join us as we meet a Richmond lawyer whose work in the community yields not only a positive message, but a pretty good meal to boot. See you next time.